If you are looking for healthy, grain-free breakfast recipe ideas to get your family started off right each morning, then you've come to the right video. Today I'm going to show you how to make avocado chocolate mousse, chocolate blueberry muffins, avocado milkshakes, crockpot yogurt, and grain-free granola. Some of these you just throw together in the morning, and some of them do take varying degrees of prep work, but once you have them made, they're ready to just toss together and enjoy. Now, 2 of these recipes you may have seen in other videos we've done, and I will put the links to those extended versions in the description box below. But we really wanted to put all 5 of our family's favorite breakfasts in one video so that you can see them. Plus, we have a new flavor twist on the avocado milkshakes that we just had to share. Let's get started with my personal favorite combination of dessert and breakfast, avocado chocolate mousse, because who doesn't like dessert for breakfast? This one you whip up ahead of time because you want to mix it up the night before, but it mixes up really quickly and then it's in the fridge ready to serve and get your morning going. So first thing we do is melt the chocolate chips. So I'm just going to dump these in here and melt them really quickly. And while those are melting, I'm going to prep my avocados, and all I'm going to do, I've got 4 really ripe avocados and I just slice them all the way around and scoop them out. And I'm gonna put these right into my food processor so they're ready to go. Once it's all melted, just turn off the burner and set it aside to just cool a little bit while you finish throwing everything else into the food processor. So I've got my 4 avocados in here, and I'm just going to add in a 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, 3 teaspoons of vanilla, about 6 to 8 tablespoons of maple syrup. You can adjust this based on like how sweet your family likes it. About 3/4 cup of milk of your choice, and then I'm gonna add in my melted chocolate chips. I used a 60% cacao chocolate chip. You can use sweeter ones if you like this sweeter. That would also add additional sweetness. And also if you use ones that aren't made with refined sugar, then you have made this without any refined sugar in it. So just add in those melted chocolate chips. Once that's all in, we're just gonna blend it until it's smooth. It takes just a minute or 2 to blend it up because you want all that avocado mixed in really well. And you might want to scrape it down partway through just to make sure everything's getting mixed in. Once you have this blended, it's technically ready to go, but it's much better if it chills for a while. So you can taste it to see if it is the sweetness that your family would like it. And then of course add a little more maple syrup if you want to. So you can see it's this beautiful mousse-like texture. And so you are just gonna scrape it into this container, and I'm gonna cover it and put it in the fridge for at least 2 hours, but it's nice if it can sit overnight too. And that just lets it get nice and chilled and firmed up a little bit too. Our mousse is chilled and ready to dish up. So the fun thing about this mousse is that you can add any toppings you want. So you can just have fun with this and make it as simple or as fancy as you want. I am going to add some thawed frozen strawberries and a few little chocolate chips, and just for fun, a little bit of whipped cream. Next up is chocolate blueberry muffins. Start by preheating your oven to 350 and lining your muffin tin with paper cups, or just greasing them if you want. We're gonna just put everything here in the food processor. I have 2 eggs, a 1/4 cup of milk of your choice, 1/2 cup of butter softened, a 1/4 cup of honey, and a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. I love the flavor of both of them together, but you could just use all honey or all maple syrup if you wanted to. Just make sure you get a full 1/2 cup. Then add in 2.5 cups of almond flour, a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 1.5 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, and then here I have 1 tablespoon of coconut flour, 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of pink salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. So we're just going to blend this all up in the food processor until it's all well combined. It's definitely a good idea to check it partway through and just scrape down the sides so that you're making sure you get all that good stuff mixed in. Once it's all blended together, you just want to remove the blade carefully and scrape it off. And you can scrape all of this into a separate bowl if you want to mix these in, or you can just mix it in right here in the food processor bowl. And then I'm just going to mix in 1/2 cup of blueberries and 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. And just gently stir them in. If you want muffins, but you don't want chocolate muffins, you can simply just skip the cocoa powder, but add that same amount of cocoa powder in almond flour. So you would just remove the 1/4 cup of cocoa powder and add a 1/4 cup more of almond flour. And then you can just mix in whatever fruits you want in here. That gives you a whole variety of muffin flavors you can make with this one recipe. So fill your muffin cups about 2/3 of the way full. I actually usually double this recipe for my crew because of the amount that they eat and we use, but as it is, this recipe makes about 18 muffins or 1.5 dozen. So you're just going to bake these at 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Once they're done baking and a toothpick has come out clean, then simply set them aside for about 5 minutes to cool and then remove the muffins onto a cooling rack and let them cool completely. Next up is avocado milkshakes, which is one of my favorite quick breakfasts because you can just throw it all together right in the morning. It takes a few minutes and then you're good to go. Now, this is one of the ones I mentioned that we already have a video of this particular recipe. So if you want to know an extended version of how to mix this up, you can check out the link below to our avocado milkshake video where you can find 5 different flavors of this. But this is an updated flavor that is actually a combination of the avocado milkshakes along with the melon matcha frappe that I have in my specialty tea video, and I just got inspired to combine them to make this new flavor of avocado milkshake that is just incredible. So the melon matcha smoothie is just 1 avocado, about 1 cup of frozen melon, then just a little bit of honey. You can adjust this to how sweet you like it, but the melon's actually pretty sweet, so it doesn't take much. Then I'm adding in about 2 teaspoons of matcha powder and 2 cups of coconut milk. And then I'm just gonna blend it up. It's got all those healthy fats and some fruit, and so it's a really, really great way to start your morning. Next one is yogurt. Yogurt is such a great breakfast, and one of the reasons I love it is because it's good for you and you can personalize it adding anything you want into it. You can add fruit, nuts, chia seeds, chocolate chips, just anything that you and your kids enjoy to make it a good filling breakfast. And so I actually like to make my own yogurt. You can of course buy yogurt at the store, but I love to make my own yogurt, and this is the other one that I mentioned that we already have a video of. Again, I just had to mention it here because this is literally a breakfast that we make every single week. I love putting together a big pot of yogurt because it lasts for days. So if you want to learn how to make yogurt at home, you can check out my Crockpot Yogurt video, which I will put the link in the description below. But this is definitely one of our favorite go-to breakfasts, a wonderful breakfast for every day of the week. Last up is grain-free granola. I love this recipe because it is easy to put together and then it's all ready to go. So it's a great replacement for cereal because it's right there in your cabinet, ready to just pour, add some milk and go. And I really love this recipe because I will show you one way to make it, but the ingredients are super easy to change up. So you can recreate it all sorts of different ways, add in things that your family will like to make different flavors and varieties just to change things up. So first thing I'm gonna do is soak my seeds and nuts for 24 hours because it makes them a little bit more digestible. So this does take a little bit of prep work, but once you get going, it's really easy. So I'm gonna add into my glass bowl 2 cups of pecans, 1 cup of almonds, 1/2 cup of pumpkin seeds, 1/4 cup of sesame seeds, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then I'm simply gonna fill this with purified water until it just covers the nuts and seeds. This is one of the areas that you can change things up because you can add in whatever nuts you like. I've done hazelnuts in here. I've done all pecans. You can just change this to the way your family would like it. And once you have it in the bowl, you're just gonna cover it and set it aside and let it soak for 24 hours. So my nuts and seeds have soaked for 24 hours, so I'm simply going to drain them off by laying out a clean towel, and then I'm going to scoop them out of the water, lay them across the clean towel, and then I am just going to let them dry out as much as possible while I put together the syrup that goes on top of the granola. So while the nuts and seeds drain off, we're gonna mix up the syrup that goes on top to give it all of its good flavor, and we're simply going to put all of these ingredients in a saucepan and just heat them until they're melted. And this is another area where you can change things up. So I am using 8 tablespoons of butter and then the sweetener and spices, but you can use ghee, you can use coconut oil, you can use parts of different ones. You can just change up the fats to what you like. Also the spices you can change up, and I am using part maple syrup and part honey. You can use all one or the other. You can change this the way you want. on it. And then also, sometimes I like to add half a cup of cocoa powder to make it a chocolate granola. So you see there's lots of different options with this. So this is 8 tablespoons of butter, a cup of sweetener, and like I said, I have partially maple syrup and partially honey. When I make chocolate granola, I kind of like the flavor of just maple syrup, but with this, I'm going to make apple cinnamon this time, and I love the flavor of honey in there. And then for my spices, I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of cloves, and 1 tablespoon of nutmeg. When I make chocolate granola, I do still include some cinnamon, but I don't include the clove or the nutmeg. And then, like I said, I add half a cup of cocoa powder in there. And then lastly, I'm adding 4 tablespoons of pure vanilla extract. And then I'm just gonna heat this really gently so that I don't boil the honey until the butter is melted and it's completely mixed together. Next, I'm just gonna put all the nuts in this food processor, and we're just going to grind them until they're really tiny pieces. So first, I'm just gonna dab off the nuts a little bit to make sure they're as dry as they can be. Then I'm just gonna pick them up and pour them into the food processor. You don't want this pureed, you just kind of want it broken down to more of the texture that granola would typically be. After you have the nuts all ground, we're just going to take them and dump them into the pan that we made our syrup in, and you're just gonna mix it until the nuts are completely coated in the syrup. So now that it's all mixed together, I'm just going to dump it onto the sheet pan, and then I'm just gonna spread it out nice and thin. So you are kind of dehydrating this more than baking it. So you definitely want to plan ahead because it does take a lot of baking time. It actually takes about 2.5 to 3 hours in the oven, sometimes up to 3.5 hours to get it nice and dried out. So we're actually going to set the oven to 170 because that's about the lowest the ovens can go. And you're just going to put it in the oven, and then you're going to put a wooden spoon in the door to crack it open, and that allows some of the moisture to come out. And then you can just set it for an hour at a time and just keep kind of stirring it and keeping an eye on it until it looks nice and dried out. Once your granola is all dried out, simply let it cool, and then you can mix in any additions you like. This is just one more of the ways that you can personalize this granola. Since mine is apple cinnamon this time, I'm just gonna mix in these really beautiful dried apples. But again, you can make this chocolate and add in chocolate chips. You could add white chocolate chips. You could add any dried fruit you wanted. You could add coconut. You can just do all sorts of things to make it really delicious for your family. And then you can also add in things when you actually pour a bowl too. You could add in fresh fruit. So it's really, really fun to change up this granola. I like to just store this granola in an airtight container or even a Ziploc in the refrigerator, and it usually, well, let's just say in my house, it doesn't last long enough to go bad. I hope this gives you some great recipes that your family will enjoy that will help you start your day off nourishing and stress-free. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to keep up to date as we put new videos up. Also, don't forget to check out the avocado milkshake video and the crockpot yogurt video if you'd like to learn more about how to make those with more flavors and ideas added in. Thank you so much for watching.